The Financial Sector Conduct Authority, which is a regulatory body in the financial services sector, has drafted proposals on how to do with the accumulated 86 billion rands in pensions and other investment assets that have not been claimed for decades. This figure has grown over the years as investments and pensions continue languishing unclaimed. I caught up with the FSCA's Deputy Commissioner, Katherine Gibson, and asked her to explain what assets have been left unclaimed in the past few decades.
What we are looking at here are unclaimed assets even beyond the unclaimed benefits which sit in the retirement funds. So we have been building on the work that initiated and originated in the unclaimed benefits space to start looking at the treatment of unclaimed assets not only in retirement funds, but also in other financial institutions like collective investment schemes, long-term insurance policies, and the likes. So these figures don't reflect an escalation in terms of a sudden increase in unclaimed assets per se. What they do reflect is better visibility and reporting of unclaimed assets that are sitting across the financial sector.
How has that grown? I guess the question I'm asking is the unclaimed benefits, whether it's pensions or the investments, this amount keeps growing every year. Are we struggling to locate beneficiaries, or are we not looking hard enough? What's been happening over the years?
So the amount, I think we need to probably distinguish between in the retirement fund space, where we came from a migrant labor system, apartheid, very strict and uncaring rules to say the least, where these beneficiaries and owners of assets, so this is even from the 1970s, were not properly identified and recorded at that time. So we are sitting with an inherited problem, and that is one which we are looking to resolve, and we've taken a lot of steps to improve the tracing and identification of the people sitting in those funds. What we are seeing, though, is even today we are still sitting with, and this is across from retirement funds, but more even in the collective investment scheme space, the life insurance space, where clients often, or customers, don't fully understand also their obligations in terms of, or their responsibilities, I should rather put it, in terms of making sure that they stay in contact with their financial institutions as well. Having said that, there is also obviously an implication on the financial institutions, who really do need to be taking stronger steps to keep in touch with their customers. It's not enough just to take someone's money and let it sit in an account and keep drawing on fees for those monies and assets sitting in their accounts. You have to keep in touch with the client. You have to make sure that you're working in the best interest of the client, and we don't always see that happening to the extent that it should.
Let's talk about the announcement that you have actually made in the report. There are a number of proposals that the FSCA has actually announced today. Let's go through the silent points about what proposals you are making and to whom. Is it National Treasury? Is it Cabinet? Is it the sector that is actually running the financial services sector, that is actually responsible for these certain funds?
So we, as the FSCA and as the main interface with these financial institutions in many instances, believe we are well placed to understand how the market is operating and to really put forward positions as to how to take the debates forward. As you said, the unclaimed benefits debate has been ongoing for many years. I think good steps have been taken, more can be done, and that is really what we are here to say, not only in the retirement fund space, also in across the other areas of the financial sector. What's important, and I think you raised it earlier, is to make sure that it's not only about tracing assets which have already become unclaimed or lost, as it were, and we can't find the beneficiaries, we can't identify the beneficiaries, or we can't find them. It's also about making sure that this doesn't happen in future. And so the steps that we're taking is to firstly make sure that We have better reporting on these assets. What that requires is that the financial institutions have a clear and consistent view of when a fund is actually becoming dormant. When do we not see activity on that account? And if so, we don't, as a financial institution, we shouldn't just sit and wait for and not do anything. We need to then flag that account, see that it is dormant, try and actively trace the beneficiary or the owner of that account at that time, rather than wait 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, when it just becomes increasingly more difficult. So what we're proposing are these trigger events at points in time that financial institutions must take steps to get in touch with these customers, keep contact, and that supports our broad treating customers fairly principles as well, where it's not just about selling a product. It's about making sure that the right product is sold to customers, and that the value derived from that product continues over time, and really meets the needs of customers over time, not just at the point that it was sold. So a financial institution needs to keep up that contact, trace people when the account becomes dormant, and to the extent that they are not able to trace the account owner or the beneficiary, the proposal is then that these funds would transfer into a central fund, which would be overseen by a board elected from, and we'd have to be very careful about who gets elected onto that board, of course, to ensure best governance. And the role of that fund would be to have a centralized place, in effect, that we would be able to run a database, maintain a database where any South African, anyone who thinks that they may have a valid claim, would be able to run their information through the database, and therefore facilitate improved connections and reunification with the people who own it, which is the right thing. There's also been a lot of query but what about the money that is never going to be claimed? And we are making various proposals around how to make sure that those funds can be used for the best interest of vulnerable South Africans who most need them. So looking to support socioeconomic development.